Last time we talked, I think it was the day before the sentencing,
Yes.
and you were saying he could walk free for time served and he could get 10 years.
Right,
Tell
and they
us
kind
where
of split the difference,
Yeah.
right? It's interesting, and I thought that's what the judge might likely do. But so yeah, you're exactly right. Diddy was asking for no more than 14 months, and he had already served a little bit over 12 months at that point. So he really wanted that out on time served, and if worst case, he wanted to spend, say, another month in jail. So that's not going to happen. But also what the prosecutors wanted is not happening because they had asked for at least 11 years and 3 months, if not more time. And the judge ultimately says it's 50 months. So it's, 4 years, 2 months. The thing is, though, again, he still gets credit for that time that he has served. So he gets credit for a year. There are also some other, he may get 15% credit for some time he had served. So there are some other things that might lessen the sentence a bit. Ultimately, he probably does about 2.5 years in prison. Now, the question is, where does he serve that time? The place where he has been at for the last year in Brooklyn is a temporary holding facility, essentially. It's not meant for a longer-term sentence. So the question becomes, what prison will Diddy then serve the sentence at? He wants to go to a place called Fort Dix in New Jersey. It's close to New York City. Obviously, it's close to where he has family. They also have a drug program where you can get treatment for any sort of alcohol or drug issues. So that's where he wants to go. And now it seems like the judge is backing that up because the judge says he should be able to serve time somewhere close, again, so his family can come see him. So I think it's likely going to be this Fort Dix place. And as to the sentence, yeah, I think nobody was happy, and that probably means that the judge was fair.
Is this common? Do we know? Is it common practice to allow the person who is going to jail to pick where they're going, or to prison to pick where they're going?
Yeah. It's common that you may have a request. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to have it granted. And if there was some reason why it didn't make sense for Diddy to be at this particular facility, I think they're not going to give him what he wanted, right? He's not booking a hotel reservation online. So I think they will try to accommodate if it makes sense. Again, this is for the family in a large, to a large degree here. So I think they will try to accommodate when they can. But obviously, he's a prisoner who has been accused of doing, or not even accused of, who has been convicted of doing really bad things. And, to that end, how comfortable do you really want him to be? So I suppose that's the question. But it does look like the judge is at least willing to give him this.
Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, President Trump has alluded to someone from Diddy's team asking for a pardon. How seriously are we thinking that that's a possibility? Like, do we actually think that might happen, or is that just a thing that President Trump is saying?
Yeah, so I do believe, and not only that, we have actually been told that he has asked for the pardon. It wasn't from Diddy, obviously, directly to Trump. It was from somebody close to Diddy who is very close to Trump. So it happened, and it must have been someone close to Trump because they got word to him within a day or so that Diddy had asked for the pardon. Does it happen? Look, I'll say this. I think the president has shown that he is willing to forgive people. I mean, even his current vice president said some pretty horrible things about him in the past, and he now is the vice president. So with that said, Diddy was not very complimentary of Donald Trump during this past election cycle. And I wonder if that's an obstacle. I do know that obviously the president feels like he had been targeted by the federal government. That's something that Diddy had also claimed or alleged, that he was a target of the federal government, that this was lawfare. So I think that's Diddy's best opportunity here, is to align himself and to get the president to think that, like Diddy, they were both targeted by the government, by the feds, and I think that's the best chance. But if you asked me, do I think it's likely? I would say it's probably not likely, more unlikely than not that it happens. But I don't say that it's impossible. I do think there's a small chance that Trump does.
One more question about Diddy before we let you go. There's been so much speculation about the severity of this crime. He obviously beat the most serious charges, which were the racketeering stuff. Okay. Is this sentence, would you characterize it as a win or a loss for Diddy?
I would characterize it as a win. I even listening on Friday, last Friday when it was, I got the feeling that the judge was getting ready to really throw the book at Diddy. And then ultimately, I think 50 months is not that. He even said earlier, he said the federal guidelines indicate that we should give you 6-7 years. And there might even be aggravating factors here that indicate we should do more. And then again, he gets 4 years, 2 months. So I think at the end of the day, I think that Diddy should, no one wants to serve 50 months in prison. I get it. I think that Diddy should probably be really happy and feel fortunate of the sentence he got. And you bring up those charges that he beat, the racketeering charges. Those charges potentially carry life in prison. So there was a situation here where Diddy never got out of prison. He was found not guilty on those charges. He could have faced 20. He did face 20 years here in this situation. Only gets 4 years, 2 months. I consider that a win.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Michael Babcock, thank you as always.